Mic's on.
All right. We are going to transition over here. And how about this, Will? Welcome to another episode of the Mental Health Hour.
Thank you.
Glad to be here. The Bar Podcast, man.
The podcast.
Man, we've tried to get this thing figured out. We got some new technology going on tonight, which is pretty cool.
I don't want to ever hear you downplay your technology skills
I
because just saw here is nuts. You are like the troubadour with technology.
I don't know about
the one-man band.
I mean, Rick, it's a homegrown podcast show with a lot of meaning, man. That's what we do, you know. So just for our listeners out there, we've introduced some new technology called OBS software, which allows us to do some overlays, some pretty cool stuff, as well as kind of navigate things throughout a little stream deck here. And my man, Mike Parsons, I would be remiss if I didn't call Mike out tonight because we spent probably at least 6 hours at the studio going over all this today. And I'm hoping like he like texts me. Well, he can't text me because my. So check this out. This is pretty cool. Will, we're gonna pop over to you and be like, "Hey, Will, what's going on today?"
Life is good.
Life is good, right? Look at this, man. You know, I wish we had a camera on Rick over there. That'd be fantastic, man. That'd be great, dude. So. Well, anyways, Will, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. We've talked about doing this for a little while anyways. And for those listening in, either on our YouTube channel tonight or if you're listening on our streaming services, Building a Refuge is a men's mental health support group and suicide prevention awareness, things like that. But we tend to want to talk about topics that are meaningful, impactful, right, with guys. And you and I have known each other for a little while now, and we meet people where they're at. We happen to be hanging out in a really cool environment.
Yeah.
My friends from Indie Coffee Roasters here in Carmel, Indiana. I got to plug them, man.
Yeah.
Diane, she's amazing. I'm looking at her cup right here. It says, "Love what you drink."
Yeah.
And I got a London Fog. So for all you listening out there, if you're in Carmel, Indiana ever, they're located right off Main Street, just north of Range Line Road. You know, come in and say hi to them. They got a super cool place here, man, and super fun to hang out. So
I was just here yesterday having a business meeting, and a lot of times when I'm in Carmel and the North End, this is the place I pick.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I mean, it's one of those places that, like, I think I live down the street from here, and I've been here a ton, but it's a really good, I mean, it's a big space. Like sometimes I wish I could pan around and show everybody, but we got a nice view of Main Street out here. And
I think the element that makes a coffee shop is, you can tell when you walk in a coffee shop, the coffee shop has a soul. Yeah. And the soul in this place is really nice, and it just, Diane's really sweet. And it just shows. It shows.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. I was gonna try to something here. I know there's a way that I can pull my chat messaging up on here, but I think I'm gonna. Oh no, I do see it here. There it is, right there. Look at that, Will. So if you're out there tonight and you're listening in, chat us, man. Let us know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, all right, look, we're gonna jump in here. So Will Frazier. We met probably a year and a half ago through a really good friend of ours, Mark Grosser, local jeweler here in Carmel, Indiana anyways. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, listen, I got this guy that I met, really super cool dude, and he has got quite a story around pornography addiction."
Yeah.
And I thought, well, like, doesn't everybody look at pornography?
Just about.
Right?
Yeah.
At some point in time in life. And you've really taught me a lot about it, in the last year and a half anyways. And we thought, man, what a great opportunity to just, tee this discussion up. So I want to jump into it, but give us a little bit of background on yourself, where you're from, how you got here to Indiana, family, blah, 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 all that good jazz.
Yeah, before I get there, going back to Mark Grosser.
Yeah.
I had to make this custom ring for me, and I have a scripture inscription on the inside.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and his wife, and he mentioned you guys.
Yeah.
And he said, they have a podcast. You might want to check them out, or you want to connect with them. And, whenever somebody tries to connect me with somebody, I need to make sure that the fit's going to be there.
Yeah.
Because I could seem like a crazy guy to some people. And so you do realize what I do. And is this going to be fine with him? Because, what I do does impact men's health.
Yeah.
But it does from a biblical scriptural perspective.
Totally.
And that jives for some people and it doesn't for others. And so when he mentioned you, I just added, hey, this is about Jesus.
Amen,
and
man.
This is how we impact the hearts.
I'm glad you bring it up because, again, you've been on our podcast before in the past, and, we've had a lot of people on. And, what's crazy to me is we always end up kind of back talking about Christ.
Yeah.
We just do. And I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? We don't throw it out there, but I know this and you know this, and I think our audience knows this, man. It's like he will walk with you.
Yeah.
He will walk with you through anything. And it's, we're celebrating Easter here this weekend, right? I mean, the epitome of forgiveness, right? Died on the cross, raised. I mean,
yeah.
Huge. Huge deal.
Yeah, and I get it. There are people out there who struggle. They struggle with a concept of God, and how does God exist when He didn't answer my prayers and my mom died of cancer, or how does God exist when bad things happen, or He left me or abandoned me, and it's hard to reconcile that. But what we forget is that God paid a price too. He wasn't immune to pain.
No,
I mean, you think about what
Good
Friday represents.
Yeah,
Good Friday represents, God allowing His Son to go through something bad
die on the cross
for us to have something good.
Yeah, I mean, that's tomorrow. Today's the Last Supper, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about these are real, like the thing that, it's taken me a long time to ingest and so on and so forth is
the pain, but we have to understand that if you want to get theologically heady here, God the Father and God the Son always existed. They always have been connected, and they always have been in fellowship, and that's why God is love, because there's a community within that love, and that's the Trinity. When God sacrificed His Son and Jesus laid down His life, that's the first time in eternity when the Father separated from the Son and turned His back because of the sin that Christ carried on the cross. So there was a breaking in an eternal relationship that happened, and the sacrifice and the pain of Jesus. So we have a God who knows what suffering is.
Yeah.
And the enemy's going to want
he's
us
forgiven
to
us
doubt
right
His
now
character.
because, I mean, I just, had to jump up and fix the camera.
Yeah. Hey, homegrown. This is how we roll.
It's how we roll, man. No,
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, man. I mean, I think I don't want to, I'm not, belittling it or lessening the importance of it, man. I mean, it's important. It's an important weekend. You know what I mean? And I was kind of always that guy, dude, that I was a Christmas and Easter dude.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't understand what it meant to really wrap myself around what Christ did for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and it took, one of the reasons we started building a refuge, right? I mean, I lost my brother 10 years ago by suicide. And I met, and as many of you know, you can go out and check out our stories, but met Rusty Kennedy from Lebanon, and he's really walked with me. You know what I mean? He's walked alongside me, and he's helped me learn, and he's helped me understand what it means to say I believe in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He's forgiven me for everything past, present, future, because of this one act that He did tomorrow.
Yes, there is now therefore no condemnation for
Romans,
those who are in
baby.
Christ Jesus. Yeah.
And if you haven't watched, go out and check our Pursuing the Heart series out. Pretty awesome. We go through the first chapters of Romans. But you got it, man.
Yeah, I was the guy who grew up, believing that God existed, but not putting my trust in Him. It's kind of like believing the elevator will go to the top floor, but never having walked in the elevator to get to the top floor. And that wasn't until after my high school season that I came to that point where it's like, you know what, I really need to realign my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to the original question, originally from Washington State.
Yep.
Met my wife through Dallas Theological Seminary. We were both students there.
Okay.
Got married before we graduated. She finished with a big kahuna degree in
nice job.
2009, and I finished in 2010.
Okay.
Then we made our way.
You guys are youngins, man.
You say that. I forget how old I am. Somebody asked me the other day, and I
right, Rick?
I got it wrong.
I love our audience out here, man. We got a good audience.
Yeah. So, we decided to to move to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And forego the Pacific Northwest.
But wasn't there a little story around that?
There was
I think
story.
you shared it last month when we were talking about this.
Yeah, my wife Jedi mind tricked me on that one. She put a map on the table and said, "Hey, when we graduate, where do you want to live in Indiana?" And I got mad. I said, "Well, why aren't we looking at the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah.
Why is this just the Midwest?" And she knew how to hustle me. She looked at me and she said, "Will, do you really want to live near your parents?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, Indianapolis. I'm more of a big city guy. So
Yeah,
tell me
yeah,
about
yeah,
that."
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Indianapolis. I mean, think about it. It's a boomerang state.
It is.
People
It's
live
very,
here, and then they come back because they realize the grass isn't greener in other places.
It's I don't want to say a transitional state, but there's a lot of transient professionals here.
Yeah.
So they might go to school here, whether Purdue, Ball State, IU, blah, 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 Butler, whatever, right? Find good jobs and then move somewhere else. Or they go to another school. Because, I mean, Indiana in the last 25 years is really growing from like a healthcare, medical, biomedical, engineering kind of, state. So it seems like that anyways. You ask like somebody where they're from, they're like, oh, I'm from, Texas, or I'm from Colorado, or I'm from, out east or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's I don't want to say it's rare. I mean, my wife, God love her, man. I mean, she's born and raised here in Indiana, man. She's an Indiana girl.
My wife as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick said I'm Indiana. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I'm one of those weird guys that tell people I'm from the Tacoma, Seattle area.
Yeah.
And I would not move back.
Yeah.
I would not.
Yeah.
I'd stay here. The culture.
Yeah, the culture, and it's a great place to raise a family, man.
It is.
I mean, this place, when you think about like just schools and I don't know. I mean, there's some things, obviously, anywhere you look in the United States today, you're going to run into stuff and you can pick it apart. But, I mean, Indiana seems to be a pretty cool place to raise people.
Even in the long winters of Indiana, you still get more sunshine than the Pacific Northwest.
Well, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one state that I haven't been to, and it's one place that I do want to get to because, one, I love music, and I'd love to go out and check out the music scene in Seattle. But I've never been to Oregon, Washington State. I've never been to that part. I'd love to go out to see the Columbia River. I'd love to get to the Gorge one day. I mean, there's some things that I want to do, but I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah,
but
July, August, those are good months.
Yeah. I do know this. We went out to, my wife and I and kids went out to Monterey, California last year for an IndyCar race and at Laguna Seca. And, people were like, why are you coming to Carmel in June? It's the worst month. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I kind of understand it. Now, we ended up with some really good weather, but it's foggy. Like, I mean, it takes a little while for the fog to burn off the ocean. But if people don't understand, man, if you've never been out there, man, the ocean's cold.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
You jump in, it's like, even in the summertime, man, it's like 60 degrees.
Yeah, you're cold plunging.
You shrivel up.
Real fast.
I love it. Yeah. So, all right. So, kind of born out there and then made your way out here. Wife, how many kids?
3.
Nice, buddy.
Yeah.
How old?
Son who's 13.
Yep.
2 daughters, 11 and 6.
You're in that. How do you feel about technology with these guys?
We limit it.
I know.
It wires their brains in ways that aren't helpful. Too much screen time, too much. I mean, it's an easy babysitter. There are times it's just like, all right, go ahead, get on the iPad, get on the screens or whatever. But as much as we can, we try to limit it. And, when they're detoxing off screens and they're outside and creek stomping and just having fun, it's just, I mean, they're different. They're different personalities. So we, I'll game with my son, but, as much as we can, we try to limit it.
Yeah, I know, man. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's kind of like everything today is very technology driven, right? And I mean, I think even the topic probably what we're going to tee up here in a little bit has amplified,
exponentially.
That, I mean, that's the thing that probably frightens me the most about kids today. Like my kids they're 30 and 27, and our kids, they were on the very front end of what essentially, technology is from a standpoint of there were cell phones, but there wasn't this. You know what I mean? There wasn't the iPhone. There wasn't the mass media piece of it. There even wasn't social media, really.
Right.
I mean, I think MySpace was maybe the biggest deal back then.
Yeah.
And that's not that long ago. I mean, this is 2009, 10, 11, right in that area.
My kids have grown up, and there's always existed a touchscreen phone and tablets.
Yeah, I just, I don't know. I don't know what that would be like. I grew up with 8-track players and tape decks and records. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
well, kids are struggling.
Yeah.
The
It's the
bullying.
truth.
The bullying is hard.
Ugh.
The addictions are harder.
Yep.
I mean, the access that comes through these devices and kids who are born with them in their hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wrecking them. It's psychologically changing their mindset,
man.
their behavior, and they go into like physiological withdrawals if they
Yeah.
can't. Their brain is wired. They hear the ding, and it's like they're triggered.
No doubt,
They've got
right?
to get to the phone.
Yeah.
And man, what does it look like to just disconnect? I had a video I put on social about the weight of silence.
Yeah.
A lot of times, it's easy for us to keep ourselves distracted. We live in a distracted culture. We're always doing earbuds are in.
Yeah.
We're screaming. We're doing something. And a lot of times it's because we don't like what happens when it gets quiet.
Right.
Because that's when all the things we haven't dealt with in life starts to bubble up. But we can drown it out with distractions.
Yeah, that's right.
And the weight of silence, to get to a place where you can have silence and find that your heart is at peace. Mm-hmm. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, kids today have the hardest time, challenges with it. I think there's probably some kids out there today that, are blessed maybe with a good community around them. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to just say it's all doom and gloom, right? But I mean, I just think it's challenging.
I personally feel that the kids who are growing up today are in a more challenging context than when I grew up.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now wait. But you went to did you go to high school out east, or out west?
I did.
Yeah. So you graduated high school what year?
99.
99. Okay. So yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of time difference in my opinion in 10 years. I graduated in 88, right? So there's some differences there, right? I mean, but I always look at 10 years in the adult world, and there's not a hell of a lot of difference between a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not.
Yeah.
So like growing up out west, I mean, were high schools, I mean, I can't imagine they were a hell of a lot different than any other city. You know what I mean? Can't imagine.
No.
Pretty, common, I think, for everybody, at least if you're in the United States anyways. Yeah, man, that's cool, dude. I appreciate you sharing, how you made your way to Indiana. How long have you guys been here?
Since 2010.
Yeah, so
15
years.
years.
Yeah, 15 years, man.
Yeah.
Do you get back out west a lot?
Every few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad and brother are still out there.
Okay.
We moved my mom from there to here, so she's 15 minutes down the street from us.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
That's great. That's nice. Yeah, unfortunately, we're kind of in a interesting weekend. This weekend, we lost my mother-in-law last week to Alzheimer's, and man, she was just such a wonderful woman, Dee, and blessed to have such amazing in-laws. You know what I mean? And so Easter was her favorite time of year. She loved Easter, and so it's fitting that we're paying respects to her and honoring her this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm very honored. My wife and her sister asked myself and my brother-in-law to kind of officiate the services. So first time I've ever going to do something like this. But man, a while ago I think I'd be really nervous about it, and I told Sherry, my wife, I was like, I'm not a bit nervous, and I know why. It's because it's not me that's going to be up there speaking to people. It's the Lord. You know what I mean? It's Christ that's going to be there speaking through me, and that is really cool.
Yeah.
It's to a point where this may sound strange, but I kind of get excited about it. You know what I mean? Like I get an opportunity to really, I don't know, man, just be very to honor. You know what I mean? I just think it's such an honor. Yeah,
there's a lot there. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints.
Yeah.
The homecoming.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We mourn because we've lost a physical presence. But I just can't help but wonder, if we can see through their eyes right now, they're looking into the face of
I know,
glory.
man. That blows me away.
They're reuniting with family members past and present.
That is something else, right?
And I can't imagine but to think that if they could say something, they would say, "Don't cry for me. I'm good."
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Yeah, they would. And I know her mom well enough, and I know her dad well enough, man. Absolutely, they would be like, "Hey, man, I'm good."
Yeah. And around the Easter season, to have your homecoming during that time,
I always wondered, do you think there's I don't think that there is. This is probably a silly question to ask, silly,
Throw it out there, man.
Do you think they celebrate in heaven?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Do you think they do you think they celebrate this weekend in heaven?
I would imagine they do. God is a God of remembrance.
Yeah.
He sets up celebrations.
You know?
You've got the feasts, 3 that happen in the fall or in the spring, and then 3 that happen in the fall. And these are remembering the acts and celebrations of God.
If Rusty's listening, he's probably just shaking his head. He's like, what kind of question is that?
Yeah. I imagine they do. I mean, because it's the Lamb of God who died and conquered death. There's now no victory or sting in death. And through his resurrection, he gives us life. The Lamb of God, who to whom there is no sin, he's at the right hand of God.
Yeah, man.
There's glory.
Right? I just always think it's an interesting question. You know what I mean? Because Rusty once told me, because again, we went through a lot of loss. My wife and I went through a lot of friends that we lost, and my brother was one of those. Sherry's dad was in there, and he mentioned to me one time, he's like, "Look, man, it says in the Bible that essentially, a minute in heaven is like 1,000 years on earth." So if you can put that into context in terms, because I'm a big timeline guy, like I got to put things in linear spaces so I can kind of chronologically put them in order. But it's like when we get there, they're going to be like, dude, what, it's like 2 seconds. It's not even a nanosecond since they saw us last.
Yeah. Heaven exists outside of the confines of time.
Yeah.
Time is a created structure that God put in place that he is above and transcendent to. Yeah,
that's cool. All right, man. Well, let's jump into this. I'm going to kind of let you tee this up, though, Will, just so our audience can kind of get a feel for what it is. Because I've done some research since the last time that we've talked, and I just don't think people understand. Like, I think they think, like I thought, pornography addiction or whatever is, that's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? But there's a whole different world of this. It's if anybody has, and I haven't, but we've had a lot of people on this show that have dealt with addiction. And that's everything from alcohol to drugs to gambling to pornography, a lot of stuff. And when you are in the grips of an addiction, it's a different world from what I can just tell from this seat.
Yes.
So share with us a little bit about what this kind of looks like and what it is.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's a big stigma. Of an addiction. You've got something that's impulsively controlling your behavior that's getting you there. And that's what it's like, with porn, with substances, with alcohol. So to tee this up, what I would say is everybody has a story. Everybody has a struggle. Everybody has past pain. And there's no mitigating that. People will say, oh, but my story wasn't as traumatizing as that. Or, I had good parents, and so, I don't really have anything to complain about. No, you do. You do. Everybody experienced wounds, even from the best of intentioned parents.
Yeah.
And it's those relational woundedness in the past that haven't healed correctly or in a healthy way that comes up to bite us through addiction.
Yeah.
Whatever that addiction may look like.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we focus on the addiction, but like I said, I think last time, addiction's not the problem. Addiction is a symptom of the root problem in the heart.
Yeah.
And so we all have situations where we're trying to cope with life. Some people do it with a glass of wine after work.
That's right.
Some people do it with Netflix and vegging out. Some people do it with food. Some people do it with work and success.
Yeah.
Some people do it with religion, with they cope through being active in church, and because that's their way of not feeling the pain that's coming up to the surface. I'm just going to keep doing this, or this will help me to feel that way.
Yeah.
And for me, my story was, growing up without Christ, growing up in an abusive household.
Okay.
I struggled with the belief that I am inherently worthless because I have a father who doesn't love me. So what's wrong with me?
It's real.
What's wrong with me that my own father doesn't love me?
Yeah.
And if he knows who I am and he doesn't love me, then who else in this world would care to love me if they get to know who I really am?
Right.
So I grew up trying to be somebody I wasn't because I was afraid to show people who I really was.
Yeah.
Because their rejection of me would validate my wrong belief at the time that I was worthless. And so I became needy.
Yeah.
Which then became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Sure.
My neediness was a turnoff, which caused rejection, which in my mind validated that I was worthless.
Yeah, yeah.
And pornography, I was exposed at a birthday party when I was 12.
Okay.
Went to a family friend's house of the birthday kid, and the guy pulled out a box of magazines. And said, "These are yours. Take them." And so we're stuffing our shirts.
Oh, yeah, man.
Like sneak them in our house. And
that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, it isn't. I mean, I know as a young kid, man, I remember looking at my uncle's Playboys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know.
And some of you guys out here like, what's that? Because magazines, you guys, what? No, I mean, when we were growing up, it was VHS. It was, and it was magazines. And these are things you had to pick up at a convenience store or some places like.
Yeah, well, membership, man, at like, you know, Blockbuster or whatever, man, they had
the room.
They had the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you got to be 21 to go in here.
Yeah. And
it was a curtain.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And half the time the curtain wasn't even closed, for crying out loud.
It made it that much more alluring.
Yeah.
Excuse me. What happened was pornography became my safe place. Okay. Pornography became my
So what does that look like?
What that looks like.
Let me explain that a little bit if you can.
Yeah. You know, something in life's hard.
Yeah.
Pornography. Cope. Something doesn't feel good. Cope. I experienced relational rejection. Cope. Tired, hungry, sad, angry, lonely. Cope.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Bored. Cope. And it's like when, you know, life's getting heavy, a little stressed out, just pop one open. Okay?
Yeah.
It's that same concept.
Yeah.
And when I became a Christian, life turned upside down for me, or right side up, actually. Overnight, things changed. My life.
Well, that's the way it happens, man. I mean, no, let me rephrase that. In some cases, that's the way it happens. You know what I mean? And because I said that very quickly because that's the way it happened for me too.
Right.
Like it was a snap of a finger. Like I've told you guys this, man. Like I was staring Christ in the face like I'm looking at you right now. Like people think I'm crazy, and I've said it. You know, listen, man, I've had 3 experiences with it in my life, but I'm telling you, they were audible and they were visual.
Yeah, yeah.
In the first two, I just kind of chalked up like, oh, this must just happen to everybody. Seriously, like I was like, oh, thank you so. I was not that I wasn't grateful. I was immensely grateful. Right, it's an amazing experience because these were things that I had prayed for as a young kid.
Yeah.
But you know, man, that was the cool part about him, about Christ, is like, he's like, oh, it's all good, man.
You showed up the way you needed.
I'll hold out here for you for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I got patience for you. So yeah, go ahead.
So my life changed overnight. I stopped smoking weed, drinking, stealing, cussing, lying, cheating, took things back I stole. I mean, it was just crazy. You know, the things that happened when I got saved when I was 18. But the one thing I couldn't shake was pornography.
Wow.
I could not shake that. And I believed I had the power to do so. And God said, okay, go for it. And everything I did
I know
did not
that.
work. Nothing I did worked.
Yeah.
You know, I even went so far as to write a contract and covenant like, Lord, I hereby dedicate and like make a commitment that my life is yours. I'm not going to do that. I pricked my finger, stamped it with blood. I was like, I'm committed. Next day, screwing up. Nothing I did worked. And so that's when I knew I had a problem.
So were you out of high school? Were you in a marriage at this time?
No, out of high school in Bible college.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I went to Washington State University my first year out of college, and then after that, I went to a Bible college. And, you know, I tried the white knuckling approach. I tried doing all the exterior things, manipulating and controlling the environment around me and behavior patterns, and I failed every time because behavior patterns aren't going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
It's like trying to stop the ripples of the ocean.
Would you feel after, like, say you mentioned a little bit ago, you know, being lonely, cope, doing whatever, cope, right? Being angry, cope, blah, blah, blah. After you would go to porn or after you would do something, would you feel guilty after it? Like, would this weight hit you?
It would.
Would it just drive you further into, like, more porn, you know, or more?
At times it would, yeah, because, you know, the audience is going to be able to relate to this. When you're in the throes of temptation, it's like you're in this mental fog. All you can see is what you want, what you want to feel, and that validation. And then as soon as you get that, then you see the guilt, and the shame, and the failure, and the regret,
which just drives you further.
Yeah, because then it's like, well, I screwed up, might as well get out of my system,
right? And, whatever. This is why I ask it, because I've done some, like I said, I did a little bit of reading and research just, on this, because, I was interested on it, right? Will, and I think a lot of you, and I think a lot of you that you come on and talk with us about this and talk with our audience and share. It's the big reason why we do these mental health hours and why we do podcasts is because the more content we feel like we can get out to people, maybe it helps somebody that's listening go, well, man, it's not as big of a mountain to climb maybe as what I thought it is. Or maybe they just asked the question. Like, hey, man, I got a question for you. Like I told this to somebody the other day. I was like, because somebody was asking me, about building a refuge and blah, blah, blah. I said, if we can just get someone to reach out to me and say, hey, man, I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. If I can get that, man, that is amazing. Yeah. So I asked that because some of the stuff that I had read, statistically speaking anyways, when you get into porn, like deep addiction to it, it's just like one level leads to the next level, and the next level leads to the next level, and the next level leads to the next level. And you're right. You get to a point where you're like, well, screw it, man. I'm in now. So what does it matter, Yeah. To a point where it can really be, like, it can be a very sadistic, very dark, very, very bad place. Like it can be, and what I mean by that, if I'll just speak bluntly about it, but it can lead to childhood pornography. It can lead to that kind of dark place. It can lead to, online relationships that lead you to a bad. It can really get to an awful place. Is what I mean.
It's like any addiction if you think about it.
It's totally like that.
You get your first buzz, your first high. You want that feeling again.
Yeah.
But now it takes a couple of drinks instead of just one. A couple of hits instead of just one. With pornography, the way your brain is wired is you're seeing this image. You're physiologically responding to it. You've got chemical neurons and synapses firing, and your brain is firing off on these things. And then the next time you go, and it takes a little more effort. Yeah. After a while, what you're looking at isn't enough to get you that high again, isn't enough to get the brain firing again. So you have to take it to another level of riskiness, another level of extreme or something different. And so that's why there's such an increase in violent pornography. Mm-hmm. So much so that young kids who are having sexual relations with each other think it's common to enact these violent acts upon their partners during sex. Yeah. And so then it's that, and then all of a sudden the violent porn isn't doing anything for you. Now you got to go another layer deeper. So it's always looking at what else can I go to that's a little more of an extreme or something that kind of excites. And that's where it escalates, and that's where people get in trouble, because then they start creeping into child pornography and child sexual abuse material. Yeah. Stuff like that, Yeah,
it's just, again, it's one of the reasons why, folks that come on this show, folks that share with us, we want to make sure that people understand that there are resources out there, that can help. Look, if you're going through stuff like that, or you're going through any sort of an addiction, man, and you want out of it, just ask the question. Yeah. Just ask the question to somebody, like, hey, this is what I'm going through. What do you think? Yeah. You know what I mean?
But here's what's hard. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So there's a
it's
guy
easy for me to do. Yeah.
There's a guy who's struggling with pornography. Okay. And there's a bigger struggle for those who believe in Jesus, because they know that sexual relationship is to happen within the confines of marriage. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, it's supposed to be non-existent. So let's say you got a married Christian guy or not married Christian guy, and he's looking at porn. Chances are his wife doesn't know about it.
Right.
Chances are his congregation doesn't know about it.
True.
Chances are his small group doesn't know about it.
True.
So he's living this life where he has this pretense of holiness, while inside there's dead men's bones. And so talk to me about what kind of risk would it take for a guy to come out and say, I struggle. Yeah. I can't stop. I need help. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, no, it
That's
is,
hard.
man. It is. And what we do, right, what Building a Refuge does, I hope that people that come out and they see what we do in terms of like the events that we host, the monthly meetings at Harley, and we got one that's coming up next month. Well, actually, it's this month. God, it's April. It's coming up in a week. But we have a veteran side of what we do, and so the folks at the VFW asked us, they're like, hey, man, you guys want to help us cook, do a pig roast? We're like, yeah, sure, man. So my son's been through addiction, he's actually coming up on his 1 year sober on April 28th.
Wow.
But it's interesting what he shared in his story. You can listen to it on our list of podcasts anyways, on all the streaming, blah, 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 right? He kind of was the same way. He lost a really good friend of his, probably in 2017, I think it was, 2018 maybe, and to an overdose, fentanyl, I think it was, if I remember right. And he had been drinking a lot even up to that point because, he went to college, partied, did things with people that, you just do in college. Because that's the normal thing to do, right? And so that just amplified it more when his friend passed away, and then he got into a social circle, and it was every day. Get off work, go to the bar, get trashed, and at different levels. Some nights maybe not as much as others. Some nights blackout. And finally he got to a point. When he came to us, man, and thankfully he didn't hurt himself. He didn't hurt anybody else, because he could have. I've seen him, really inebriated, and make some decisions in getting into a vehicle and driving, where he could have hurt people, and thank God he didn't. And he came to us, which this is shocking. Like, we have people that have been on our show before from Allendale Treatment and Bridges of Hope, two really, really great resources that we have, that are like, man, you should be, like, this doesn't happen like this. Wow. Normally it doesn't happen like this. But I think he just had enough, man. I think he was just done. I think he was just done. He's like, I'm done. But I know I'm not going to just be able to go to an outpatient center. So he went to a 30-day program at Bridges of Hope, and, the big, we even talked with Rusty on the way up there that day, and, and he told Rusty, he said, listen, man, he's like, you can't do this alone. And he's like, I don't mean your parents, because we were in the car with him, He's like, I don't mean your parents. He's like, you can't do this alone. And I think Austin knew at that time, because we've always been very open about talking about our belief in Christ in our house, right? Yeah. Like, we've had a lot of conversation around that. But I don't think Austin, I think he's still on this walk today, obviously. I mean, he's still on it. But I think it really impacted him at that center, and since then, in all of the really beautiful things that have happened in his life since he's come home in 1 year. Like, he's doing great at his job. He's got a wonderful new girlfriend, that supports him. And as his parents, me and his, mom, Sherry, we're just so happy that, like, he can give his heart to somebody. You know what I mean? And he feels trustworthy to do that. Because I don't know if he ever felt real trustworthy, like under the influence, Yeah. But that's what it does, right? Well, I mean, you've told me this. Like, that's what it does. You get into this hurricane. You get into this just vortex, man, and lack of trust, isolation. Nobody likes me. My wife hates me. My girlfriend hates me. Blah, blah, blah. My job sucks. Everything, the world just looks dismal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he will walk you out of it.
Yeah.
The Lord will listen. I was not a guy to believe in this. I mean, I was a guy that kept it at an arm's length away. Okay? Like I told you guys before. Said thank you, appreciated the good things that happened to me in life, but I was just, I'd keep it at an arm's length away, man. And the day I said I'm like Jeopardy James, like I'm all in. I'm all in. Man, I'm all in. 100, and if there was more than 100%, I'd be 101%, but I'm all in. Yeah. And it's changed my world.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I walk my guys through the 7 essentials for lasting freedom from porn. These are the 7 essentials that it takes to experience freedom, and it's something you have to do continuously. And you hit it on the head with what you just said. The first thing that I share with my guys is you got to make a decision. It's got to be yours, and you got to fuel it with determination. Nobody loses weight because their wife wants them to.
That's right.
Right? So it has to be the right intentions, the right motives, the right time. So they have to make that decision. The second thing is they got to get right with God.
Amen.
God's a creator of all things, and he created your heart with a capacity to have a relationship with him. So there's a space in your heart that only he can fill. All the things that we're doing, all these distractions, it's looking for that peace.
Yeah.
And he is that peace. And when we have that restored relationship with him, we experience that. So we got to get right with God through Jesus.
Yep.
And then we got to stay connected with God. Call that abiding. So being in right relationship with him. The third thing is we got to get right with others.
Yeah.
Because part of the problem that we have and what fuels the hurt and the pain and even this addiction is we have anger. Somebody's hurt us. We've not forgiven. We hold on to bitterness and stuff like that. Or maybe we need to ask somebody to forgive us for the hurt that we've done.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of relational damage that impacts how the heart feels and the mental health of that person. And the Bible also says that our vertical relationship with God is impacted by our horizontal relationship with others.
That's cool. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And so we got to get right with others.
Yeah.
The next thing is number 4 is we've got to have allies.
Yeah.
We can't do this alone. And a lot of times guys struggle because they want to do it in isolation because of fear and shame and guilt.
Yeah. And I just think that the one thing I want to add to it, and I love all that, one thing I want to add to it is if you're listening and you're even considering something like this, right, you don't have to change who you are.
Right.
You're going to change. Yes, you're going to change. If you want to call it behaviors, blah, 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 but he will forgive you. Yeah. Remember, past, present, and future. What he is going to do tomorrow, so many years ago, right? Mm-hmm. What he's going to do tomorrow, was for everything.
Yeah.
For everything. It's done. The deal's done. One of the things on one of our podcasts a while back, I heard this before we got on. It was actually when we were going through Pursuing the Heart. And there's a word called tetelestai. And I maybe brought it up on the last show. I don't know. But tetelestai means it's finished. And that's what Jesus said on the cross to the two thieves the thieves and the robber that were up there with him, right? And the one he said to him, he's like, hey, you're going to join me in paradise today, right? And shortly after that, he said, tetelestai, it's done, it's finished. And so, in the Greek definition of it, it means it's over. It's done, it's completed, right?
Yeah.
In the judicial system, it means so if somebody has been given a sentence, they've completed the full sentence. They didn't get out of it early. They didn't get out on good behavior. If the judge said 10 years, they served exactly 10 years. It's done. I just think that's really cool because if somebody can even think about that for a second, you are loved, man, but you do not have to change. I changed. Believe me, man, I changed. But I'm the same goofy dude I've always been.
Yeah.
I still listen to rock music, man. I still go to concerts. I still drink a beer every now and then. And I'm not promoting it, but that's just me, right?
Yeah.
God's not going to kick me out of the house for this.
Yeah.
My heart, I can tell you my heart has changed. Am I going to sin? Sure. I'm going to make knucklehead decisions. Am I a sinner? No. I know that's hard for people to understand. He loves me more than he loved John the Baptist. It's crazy, right? It's crazy when you think about it. But from a timing perspective, and when John Baptist lived and when he died, when Christ died for us, he died for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he loves us. Dude, he died for us.
Yeah. To riff on the tetelestai.
Tetelestai. I know. I always say it. Tetelestai.
Tetelestai. What's interesting is in Greek there are different tenses for verbs, and the tenses impact the meaning of the verb. So tetelestai is a perfect verb tense, which means a past action with future consequence.
Oh man, that's cool.
Past action with ongoing effects.
Yeah.
So the past action is it is finished with ongoing effects.
Oh man. Yeah.
So it's not just a one and done or a past event. It's something that happened in a moment of time whose effects ripples on into eternity. It has been finished and it's changing
It's
the world.
done. Yeah, man. That's cool. All right, so I want to kind of switch gears a little bit here. I wish Rick's hanging out with us tonight, and I just love Rick because I get to look at him here. But we should have had a microphone on you so you could have, chimed in. I know you don't like being on camera, but you could have just chimed in, man. Next time we do this, we got to do that. We got to wire you up, okay? Because then we can be like, Rick, what do you think over there, man? You know? I love it. Talk to me a little bit about your organization. You mentioned a little bit about the 7 steps that you just mentioned, but tell me a little bit about support, because that's the other thing that we want to make sure we let people know, right?
Yeah.
Is that there is support, and you actually run a support group for guys going through porn addiction. So talk a little bit about what that support group looks like.
Yeah, and I would say not necessarily a support group. I call it more like a brotherhood and a community.
Yeah, right on.
Yep. And so the ministry that I started, that God put on my heart, is called Complete Holiness. And, most Christian guys are losing the battle to porn. Yeah. 90% of Christian men are looking at porn on a regular basis.
Okay.
So it's pretty much the majority. And
that's an amazing statistic. Like, not amazing, but shocking.
Yeah, yeah. And that being the case, there are guys out there who are dying on the inside. Yeah. And their mental health is being affected, and their life is nowhere where they know it should be, because they know that they were called to do something more. But they're helpless, and perhaps some have even grown hopeless, and they've settled to the fact that this is just going to be something I'm going to struggle with, and it doesn't have to be. There is always hope. Yeah. And there's always hope in Jesus. You may not be able to see how God can fix this or can free you from this, but you got to remember, what's hard for man is easy for God. Yeah. And God has the ability to do this. Like Abraham, against hope, he believed in hope that God had the ability to do what he had promised. And Jesus has already secured the victory for every Christian guy over pornography.
That's right.
It's our job now to take hold of that victory.
Yeah.
Israel was given that promised land. That was their gift, their inheritance, but they had to fight to take it, to hold on to it. Yeah. And God wants to teach his people how to fight spiritual wars and how to win. And he allows us to face these challenges, not because he's going to just miraculously answer a prayer and make it disappear, but because he wants us to grow through the struggle.
That's right.
And to learn warfare and to help teach the next generation. Yeah. And so what I do is I bring these guys together, and I help them and equip them to experience victory. Let them know there is hope, and we work through this action plan, and they experience that. And, we do it. It's a simple process. It's, if you're struggling and you need help, then one, go to my website, completeholiness.org, and set up a time. We'll have a free chat. Yeah. Let's just talk, okay? Because in that conversation, I'm going to lay out options of what you can do and how this can work for you. So then step 2 is pick an option that works for you. Yeah. And then step 3 is let's rock and roll.
Yeah, man. Hey, Rick out there, I know Rick's kind of looking up some stuff behind the scenes over there. Drop that in the chat, would you? Like just copy and paste the link. Can you do that? We put him on a task. Yeah. I love it. Rick, you don't know how much I love you, buddy. You are getting closer and closer to this microphone every time we do this thing. I think that's amazing, man, and we'll definitely put that link up on the podcast once I do a little editing, and I'll drop that link in for sure. Yeah. And then we'll also put it on our resource page as well. I have a pretty cool little thing here I can put up right now anyways. Here's a bunch of resources that we do have. You can go out to our website at buildingarefuge.org to get to your support group. Yeah. So that's pretty cool as well. But so where do you guys meet? Like, what do you got? Where do you guys?
That's a good question. So for guys who I work with, sometimes they meet me when I come to their church, when I come to their men's group, and I speak and I present and I teach and I share. Yeah. Other times they meet with me when we're doing one-on-one consulting. A lot of guys, they come through this membership community that I've launched called Freedom Fighters.
Oh, nice.
So 3 months ago, I launched a membership community for guys who want to come together. Yeah. Pornography happens.
That's an online, right? So it's virtual?
Yes, it's virtual.
It's super cool. Yeah. I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah. Guys struggle because there's relational wounds in the past. Yeah. So that relational damage echoes into the present, and there's a boy in his heart that was hurt, and if you help heal the boy who was hurt, then you help free the man from porn.
I love it. Yeah.
And so, what's amazing is this relational community is part of the healing process. When you can come together with other guys, you can tell your story, you can lock shields, and you can fight together. Right, and it's not a group of perverts. You got
90, I get it.
90% of Christian guys who struggle. You're going to have godly guys in there who are chasing after the heart of Jesus, but they've got this monkey on their back they can't shake. And so what does it look like to come together? And so these guys are coming together. They're experiencing healing. They're regaining the peace that they've lost. They're restoring damaged and broken relationships because of pornography. And they're being unleashed to live the lives that God has called them to live. Yeah. It is hard to live the life that God has called you to live.
It is.
When you're stuck in the trap of pornography.
Totally, man. Like, now, I don't know. Like, I've told you this at the front end of the show, right? I mean, I'd lie to anybody if I said that I hadn't looked at a Hustler magazine or I've looked at a Penthouse or a Playboy or whatever, right? I mean, let's just be real. It's what we do here. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think I understand what pornography addiction is. Okay? Yeah. I've looked at it. I've seen it, right? I mean, but I don't necessarily know if I understand it. Just like I would tell somebody, I don't understand what it's like to be a heroin addict. I honestly don't understand what it's like to be an addicted to alcohol, what am I trying to say here? An alcoholic. God, thank you, Rick. See, that's why we need you on the mic.
Give him a microphone.
I know, but my point is I'm not saying believe me, man, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is I love being able to have stories like this shared, because it gives me a little bit more insight, and it probably gives me more appreciation and respect for you or for anybody else that's going through this stuff.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, what you do with that group, we do at Building a Refuge.
Yeah.
Like, listen, if you're going through it right now and you think we're a couple of knucklehead Jesus freaks here on this podcast, which we are, right? Is what it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, I ain't doing that shit. That's fine. I don't care. Come out and hang out with us, even if we don't care. There's no holes barred here, man.
Yeah.
There's no boundaries to what we do. It's just not.
Chances are there's somebody in the audience who does struggle with this, somebody in the audience who does want to find that freedom, and they don't know how.
Right.
And this might be the first time they hear this crazy guy talking about, hey, I've struggled with pornography. Jesus helped me through this process. Now I'm here to help you through the process.
Right.
He took my biggest shame and turned it into my biggest blessing.
Yeah.
He redeemed this. And, and for guys to be able to say, all right, they've got a virtual community. Everybody gets a free mobile app. And it's just living connected with a brotherhood as you live life. So in this community, it's not hardwired where there's a lot of time box you have to separate. I do have 2 live events I do. Everybody's broken up into 7-man squads. It's their accountability weekly meetup.
That's right.
And other than that, they're in the social feed of the platform, and they're engaging in content. They're in the text chat asking for prayers or praying for others. And so there's content for them in the resources section of our platform for them to have to work through.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw in some workshops in the near future. And so it's just a place where we gather together, and you know that you got brothers who have your back. Like your 6 is covered.
Yeah, man, dude. And in the military world, when you know you got your 6 covered, they know what that means.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've been taught it, but I've not spent time. I'm not a veteran, so I'll make that up front. But yeah, man, I mean, look, I put some resources up here for everybody to kind of take a look at. One of the ones that we partner with is, it's on the bottom there, text 494949. It's an anonymous text line. Just kind of like what you're saying with your group, right? And you're on our website, right? So this is a network. This is a network of resources. So if you are listening out there and you're going through this or in addiction of any sort, and you're not ready to come out to somebody, right? Maybe it doesn't feel right. I get it. We get it. This is anonymous. Mm-hmm. It allows you to have a conversation with somebody just to get some good feedback.
That's nice.
And if that's a first step in it, great. You know, listen, let me give you an example. So one of the stories that recently happened, and I share this, like I just shared this with somebody the other day. And before we wrap up here, I want to kind of make a couple of call outs for some sponsorships that we just got. And I'm super excited about it. But I shared this with somebody because they asked me, they're like, well, what is it that you guys do? Right. And I said, well, let me just show you what we do. I said, so I showed a text on my phone. I said, this gentleman that texted me actually called me first. I was at the airport, flying out somewhere, and I got it, and so I took the call. But this guy had been hanging around us, right? I said he's just been kind of orbiting, building a refuge.
Yeah,
comes to some events, hangs out, we talk, and we've gotten to be friends, right? So I get this call, and he's like, hey man, can I ask you a question? I said, yes, you can. I was like, what's up, man? And he's like, man, I've just been struggling a lot, and I'm addicted to alcohol, and I don't really know what to do. Can you help me? And I said,
that's
sure.
Huge.
I was like, absolutely. He's like, well, what is it that you want to do? Like, help me understand where you're at so I can maybe point you in the right direction. And he said, I've been drinking heavy for a while. And I trust you guys. There's some guys we hang out. He's like, I trust you guys, and I'd like to talk to somebody. I said, yeah, no problem, man. I said, are you open to talk to somebody tonight? And he said, yeah. So I said, all right, cool. I said, we'll hang out. We hung up, and I said, give me a few minutes. And I said, I'm going to text somebody and expect a phone call. So I reached out to my resource at Allendale Treatment because they're amazing. And Emma, if you're listening, thank you. She works here in the local Allendale Treatment Center. And so she reached out to this guy and had a great conversation with him. This went on for probably a week or so. And we got a text, I don't know, it was probably maybe a week back because I think now he's started. But it said, basically thank you. You don't know how much this has meant. Keep doing what you're doing. You saved a life.
Wow.
And that, like, if that is all we can do, I am cool with that, man.
That's what it's all about.
Because like we've said before, I'm not a clinical therapist. I'm just a guy that's had some life experience. You know what I mean? And said, I won't cuss, but because all my guys like, you made it through a whole episode without saying a swear word. But I said, F it, man. I'm just going to do something. You know what I mean? Even like you said, thank you tonight for giving me some compliments, man. Like, I don't know what I'm doing on this thing, man. I mean, thanks to Mike Parsons and the guys at LDR Studios. They hooked me up with all this and show me how to use it. But I'm like, why would I not use it?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You have a story that's impactful, Will. And that's why when I first met you, and I'm sure why Mark thought, man, these two guys need to hook up. You know what I mean? Because, again, you know this as well as I do this, man. The Lord works to create an army. You know what I mean? He works. He knows good and well what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, anyways, man, I share that with you because I know you probably run into stories like that a lot of times in what you do, and we all do, right? For people that we help walk. I'm not going to tell anybody that I don't take accolades very well from, I don't take that. I just feel like, I'm just being me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what I've always kind of been wired with. But, no, man, I think it's really, really cool what you do, Will. I appreciate what you share. I'm sure you'll be a part of, the future as it relates to us and what we do. Anything else you want to share before we kind of wrap up? Two
quick things.
Okay, let's hear it.
My encouragement to you, next time somebody gives you an accolade,
okay,
receive it in humility with 2 words.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't cut yourself down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. So that's my encouragement to you. And then the second is I didn't get to walk through all those 7 essentials.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to my website,
Yeah.
you can download the 7 essentials to lasting freedom from pornography.
Okay.
It's a downloadable free guide. My gift to you.
Website again.
CompleteHoliness.org.
CompleteHoliness.org. Okay.
And you'll be able to find it once you get there.
Okay.
And that's a good way for you to just get started because you understand the fundamentals, the basics.
Yep.
Here is what I need. These are the ingredients for success.
Yeah.
Take that, start, and then let's set up a time to talk. Happy to talk, give some options, pick which one works best for you, and then we just rock and roll. Yeah,
I love it, Will. I think it's super cool, man. What you do is admirable, and I think that you've taken something that you've learned in your life and you're doing something with it, man, and I'm grateful to know you, and I appreciate, with everything that you're doing, buddy.
Likewise.
Yeah,
likewise.
Man. Well, thank you all for listening in tonight. We appreciate it. Again, we're trying out some new stuff here, some new technology, and I think we got through it pretty well. We're going to get Rick a microphone, though, because I think that's a definite need for the future. So he's giving us a thumbs up, which
minimum,
is good.
A lapel mic.
Well, yeah, I can get one. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, no doubt. Well, no, we're going to set you all up for the whole deal here. But I just want a couple shout-outs anyways. We're here at Indie Coffee Roasters in Carmel, Indiana. Thanks to them. They are so kind to let us come in here once a month and hang out and do this podcast. We kind of move around the room. So if you can see back there, there's the Barista Bar. How about that?
Yeah.
The Barista Bar. So they have some amazing coffees here. They roast all their own beans, which is pretty cool. So, and I'm a coffee lover, man. And Diane hooked me up with the London Fog tea tonight, though, because I like tea as well. They have a wide selection of tea here. And so they have 3 locations around Indiana, one here on Main Street, one on the north end of Carmel, which isn't too far from here, and then one on the Purdue campus, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. And one in Noblesville. God, how did I forget that? Sorry, 4. They have 4 locations. So, Diane, don't get mad at me. But Indie Coffee Roasters, man, come and check them out. Yeah, all right, sure. I also want to shout out to Gaylord Electric. So today we established a new partnership sponsorship with Gaylord Electric here in Indianapolis. Very, very thankful to them. They are a company that's been in existence here in Central Indiana. Commercial electricians. I think they do residential too as well. I will find out, but I know them pretty well anyways. I've had some friends work with them in the past, and just really appreciate Chuck Goodyear. He's the CEO. Appreciate them, their team, for supporting us. So we reached out to them to talk to them a little bit about, and I'm going to share with you guys. I thought I had it on here. Oh, Mike, I think, took it off. Well, anyways, but I think. Yeah, he must took it off here. So I'll get it back up on here. But I mainly started talking to them about the Rock and Ride for Hope that's coming up on June 7th. It is our kind of pillar fundraising event. So it's at Harley-Davidson on Saturday, June the 7th. Super cool day. We have a ton of resources, man. Like, I'm so excited about this. We have about 10 right now, and it's growing. So we have AFSP, who, by the way, will be on our podcast in May.
Nice.
So, yeah. I was pretty excited. I met with them this week. They're going to come on, share a little bit about what they do. So that's pretty cool. We'll be back here in a month with AFSP. So they're going to be there. Veterans Affairs is going to be there. We have a veterans arm of what we do, like I mentioned. So we appreciate all of our veterans, first responders. Appreciate all you guys. So they'll have not only their healthcare side there, but the VA benefits. So that will be super cool. We have St. Vincent's Stress Center there. We have Allendale Treatment there. We have Stigma Free Fishers there. I'm trying to think who else. I know I'm missing out on a few more, but really, really cool stuff there. So
before you get off on that, so the Rock and Ride.
Yeah.
You've hosted this before.
Yep, this third year.
Okay. When people go to this,
yep,
they walk away. After it's over, they come back and they say, man, this was great. I really loved how.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
I think what we've gotten feedback on is they just love how we do it. Because there is no real plan to. It's got a little bit of a Woodstock-esque feel to it.
Yeah.
That's just the way we roll. Rick's been out to it, man. Helped out a lot with it. I think the magic around what we do is we don't set any expectation and we don't put mental health, mental wellness in a box.
Yeah.
That's it, Will. I mean, because here's the deal. I don't have to tell anybody out there what we're doing. They already know they're coming to an event to support mental wellness, mental health, and suicide prevention. So the last thing I'm going to do is get somebody up on stage and make them tell a story. Because I'm just being real about it, dude. It can be a drag, right? I understand it. I respect it. I've been through it myself. But what we try to do is we try to do some short, between bands and stuff like that throughout the day. We'll probably have somebody come up and tell somebody, the resources and stuff, people that we have there. But I think people walk away mostly like, wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I didn't know this was going to be like this. So that's what I would say probably the best part of it is. But, yeah, so anyways, Harley-Davidson of Indianapolis, great. Thank you to those guys. They've been amazing. David Dellin, the entire dealership team. Super, super awesome people. We do our monthly meetings there, but we kind of take over the place on June 7th. So I'm rocking the Tommy Baldwin shirt. Tommy Baldwin is releasing a new album coming out, so you guys check that out here in about, I think it's should be done here in probably 40 days, somewhere around 30 days. I don't know. So he's going to be headlining for us.
How do they find that new album?
So you can go to Tommy's website, Tommy Baldwin. I think it's TommyBaldwin.com. I'll have to check. I'm going to check that, so Tommy will make sure. But we'll make sure to push it out on our website and help Tommy. Tommy's a great young man, dude. Super talented guy. If you haven't seen him, man, you need to check him out. Like, it's just one of the most talented dudes in Indiana, in the nation, quite honestly, from a guitar playing perspective. But we have a bunch of local bands playing. Music's going to start at 9:30 in the morning. We kick a motorcycle ride off at 10. 4 stops, about 60 miles. We'll get everybody back to the dealership by 2:30-ish. We got some fun stuff planned once everybody gets back. And live music, man, starts at 1 o'clock out front, and we go to about 8, and all to support mental health and suicide prevention.
Sounds like a fun hangout.
It will be an amazing day. So tell your friends, tell everybody, come out, man. It's free. I didn't mention that. It's free, so all we do is encourage a donation.
What about guys who don't ride? What do they do during their ride time?
Yeah, man, they can come out and hang out,
Stuff
man.
to do for them while
if they want to drive, if they want to drive a car around with us, they're more welcome to. Okay. I mean, if you got a hot rod or you got who cares? You want to drive a pickup truck, drive a pickup truck. I mean, I got a 2002 Honda CR-V. It's got CD player in it, so I'm jamming. But yeah, I mean, you can come out and hang out. There's a lot of stuff I think just to do in terms of just hanging out. I mean, if you don't ride, I probably wouldn't say, hey, you may not want to come for the whole day because you might get a little bored. I mean, just be realistic, man. I mean, you can go over to rentals and look at some tractors if you wanted to, or you can test ride a new Harley. You know, that's be good. But yeah, it's not just Harley-Davidson's. It's an open ride, so anybody can ride anything. You have a Honda, you got a Suzuki, you got whatever, man. We just encourage people to come out. You know what I mean? So that's really cool. But, yeah, really appreciate Gaylord Electric. Everyday GSD, Darren Bebo is one of my good buddies. He's been a huge sponsor of us, so we're really excited to have him on board again this year. The main stage is the Everyday GSD main stage, so that's pretty cool. That'll be out front in Harley-Davidson, and yeah, man, so we're rocking along, man. So we're going to take the entire month, so be on the lookout all the way through the month of May. It's National Mental Health Awareness Month. We are going to be at the Indy 11 game on May 3rd. We're actually supporting another nonprofit down in southern Indiana called the Tony Bennett Foundation. Tony and Tina are really good friends of ours, and they do a fishing tournament, so we're going to be participating in that on the 17th. On the 15th, we're going to do a podcast from... Final Third Cigar and Bourbon Bar. It's one of our stops, and the owner, super nice guy, has invited us to come up there and do kind of a cigar talk, if you will.
Wonderful.
And super cool guy, super cool place, and so we're really excited about that. I think that's going to be on the 15th, if I remember right. And then, like I said, 17th fishing tournament, and then May 31st, which is a Sunday, we are going to be at Horsepower for Heroes. I think it's at Don Hine Ford. Anyways, it's a big car show, and they've invited us out because Don Hines is, I think, going to be a part of our deal as well on June 7th. They're right across the street from Harley-Davidson. So, yeah, man, we got a lot of cool stuff happening,
picking
dude.
up some good momentum.
Yeah, I'm humbled. You know what I mean? We've given back, just so people understand this too, because you might ask, we are a 501c3 registered nonprofit, so federally, we appreciate donations. So we encourage people to donate if they can, if they feel led to do that. We've given out this year, I want to say since January, we've probably given out $2,500 in support help.
Nice.
What we do is if somebody comes to us and they need help in forms of, and they don't have the funds to go to therapy, or they don't have the funds to maybe cover a deductible to go to treatment, or, just come to talk to us. Just come and talk to us, man. I mean, that's what we are here for. We're nimble enough that we can do a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Good.
We're judicious with it, but we can do a lot. What else was I going to mention here? But yeah, so listen, if you own a business and you need a company to give it to, a nonprofit to give it to, we'd love to take it.
Great company to give it to.
You know what I mean? So we would love to take it. But Will, thank you so much again, man.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
I'm just blessed, and I love doing this. Thanks, Rick, for hanging out with us and helping us out tonight. You know what I mean? Get through some of our stuff. But we really appreciate everybody checking us out, and we'll be back next month again, Will, so that'll be pretty fun. Like I said, AFSP and hanging out at Indie Coffee Roasters. I'm going to cue up some music here as we kind of fade out here, but thank you again.
Yeah,
everybody can find us. I probably should mention that. You can find us on buildingarefuge.org, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all the social bajaw. I don't know. That's a word, bajaw. Yeah. So anyways, all right, until next time, be good to everybody. Talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, Will. Have a good day.
Lonely night, spiraling, no one that I can call. Parents gone again, I'm so alone, my toes are on the ledge. It's a Friday night, football game, check my Twitter feed, they're making fun again. Can't show my face, and I can't take the pain. God, I need a refuge, someone I can talk to. When it seems all hope is gone, so build me a refuge, somewhere I can run to.